Okay. Hi. Welcome. My name is Amber, and this is my YouTube channel, Hope for Recovery. I created this channel because I am a person in recovery. I identify in recovery, and my recovery looks a little different than the traditional recovery. Most of the time, I think when people think recovery, they think from drugs and alcohol addiction. However, it can be a lot more than that. Given that recovery is, restoring us to a regular state of mind, a normal state of mind, it can be from anything. So I myself identify as a person in recovery from childhood sexual abuse, just generational trauma, domestic violence. I was previously strangled, family disease of alcoholism. It's affected me in multiple ways in my own family and prior partnership. And then also I am currently in recovery from surgery from a car accident, and I've lived with chronic pain for over 8 years. Also have trauma in the workplace, and I'm in recovery for my mental health. So as you can see, recovery can look like a lot of things. It's no longer what it used to be. And so I'm here to just help spread hope for recovery. That's my goal. So I guess where to start is, what is recovery? I mean, recovery is the process of regaining possession or control of something that's lost or stolen. So the return to like a normal state of health, mind, or strength. And that can look really, it can look different for everybody, because I know for myself, when I started my recovery, like there was no going back to what was normal, because I didn't know what that was. So for me, it was gaining something new. And I think that a lot of people can relate to that. I really had to overcome a lot of past traumas and learn to cope differently for me to be the healthiest version of myself. And I think that's what the goal of recovery is, and something that I put work into every single day. And so I intentionally wake up and decide to do better than the day before, and I constantly take the time to reflect and process my feelings so that I can discover more about myself and do better. So I think a lot of people want to be able to do that and maybe don't know where to start, or maybe they don't have the community or whatever that might look like. And so that's kind of what I'm hoping we can do with this channel. And so just I guess a little brief thing here, excuse me, is what are the types of things that people need recovery for? Because it can just vary so much. People go into recovery because of prior homelessness, isolation, depression, some behavioral health issues, gambling, sex addiction, maybe some hoarding behaviors, losses, or just having disability. I mean, there are lots of things that can push a person towards recovery. So I think the fact is, it's just a matter of actually taking the steps to get there. So recovery can be a really challenging journey. And I myself, I have a lot of lived experience, and I know how hard it was, and I know the work it takes. I know what it did to the people I care about. I know how things that I've had to overcome to be able to be at my best. And so I think my whole purpose is to help people, bring light to all of the things that it takes to work a recovery program. And recovery looks different for every person. There is no one recovery for anybody. And so what my recovery looks like is not going to be the same for other people. But what's really great is that we all have lived experience, and we have the opportunity to share our experience, strength, and hope to help the next person. Because the thing is just take what you like and leave the rest. What I share might not be exact for you, but you might hear something that you can tailor to your own needs. And that can be pretty powerful. And so I know when I first started, I didn't really have people that could help me through. And that's really was a hard journey for me. And so I want to be able to bring that to people here today. And so that's the purpose of this channel, Hope for Recovery. Some of the things that we'll hopefully cover in time, it's going to be a wide array of content, but like asking for help. What are boundaries? How do we set boundaries? How do we build trust when trust has been broken? What does one step at a time look like? And how do we do that? Or how do we overcome fear? Or just so many different things. How do we build community? So as you can imagine, it's a lot, but the point is that we wake up every day and with intention put in the work to recover from whatever it is that got us here. So I think the first place I really want to start is self-care. And it is just, something I'm really passionate about. Anybody who knows me knows how much I talk about self-care, how much I practice self-care. I'm actually doing it right now. Doing makeup makes me feel really good. I enjoy the whole art of it. I enjoy the mindfulness of it. I love how it makes me feel, and I can have fun with it. And so since I'm in recovery from my car accident, ever since my car accident, actually, I started doing makeup because I couldn't really practice all of my other self-cares that I used to, like exercise or bowling or hiking or anything like that. Couldn't go for runs. So I sat down and I started doing makeup. And now this is what I get to do with you all, is I'm gonna do my makeup while I get to talk about some of these really what can be challenging things. And so I'm pretty excited about where this journey is gonna take us. I also know that this is gonna look different for everybody. And so there's a balance to self-care, and I would like us to kind of just dive in a little bit about the different areas of self-care that we should be balancing so that we can operate at our best. And so something I learned through my many years, I've been in recovery now for over 5 years, but I think started putting in the work about 4.5 years ago. And that's when my recovery took off. And I think anyone who knows me can probably attest to that. So self-care has been something that I've had to learn through the whole process. And I found that we have 4 areas that we should be self-caring in order to have balance. And that is our physical self, our intellectual self, emotional self, and spiritual self. And so that's what is known as PIES: physical, intellectual, emotional, and spiritual. And balancing self-care in each one of those areas has really helped me maximize my recovery. And being a person in recovery from a car accident makes it super challenging for me to be able to take care of myself in the physical aspect. So I've had to learn new ways, but it can really look like all sorts of things for people. So physical can be running, riding a bike. It can be a massage. That can also fall under probably the other categories as well. But it can be stretching. It can be yoga. It can be yeah, just all sorts of things. I mean, just really, physical exercise is super important to our well-being. So as long as we're doing some sort of cardio or some sort of working out, I think is how we are gonna take care of ourselves. And it can be challenging to incorporate, but I think the point is that we at least attempt to add a little bit of physical balance in our life so that we can feel more stable in other areas. So, intellectually, so that one for me, I do a lot of book reading, I do a lot of study and research to understand more of whatever it is I'm into, specifically around maybe addiction, generational trauma, overcoming my own trauma, and how the brain works. I tried to stimulate my mind, and also that can be in conversations I have with people and all sorts of different ways. So just about finding, again, what works for you, for being able to balance our intellectual self. Next is emotional, so our emotional well-being. That one can be a little more challenging, because that means feeling our feelings and really taking care of our needs, and that can change and vary so much, especially like if something like grief happens. But I think the point is that we are really trying to get to know and discover ourselves so that we can make sure we're behaving appropriately. And so I like to give myself time. I use journaling. That's really important. And write it out, talk with other people. Building relationships and trust with other people is a really big deal too. That for me used to be, I mean, that was really challenging because of my abandonment issues, but super rewarding to build those relationships. And I found balance through it in time. So I think that you'll learn in time what is best for you. Again, the point is waking up and at least making an attempt to discover how to meet your needs in these categories. Next is spiritual. And, when I started my journey, I did not actually have a relationship with a higher power. And so spiritual balance looked totally different. I mean, I was doing meditation and massage, different ways to be still. I did the steam a lot, so I was spending a lot of time with myself and just handing things over, even though I didn't even know who I was handing it over to. And eventually I grew my relationship with my higher power. And so it took time, and that taking care of our spiritual selves can really, it's about stillness. It's about letting go of everything that's going on and really giving ourselves the time to be in nothing almost. And I think that when we learn how to be still and calm, that is when we find the solutions to the things that we need, because the fact is we have the solutions to our problems, and they're within us. We are our best resources. And so it's a matter of just being able to get in touch with with being still and being calm and handing over what's stressing us out. And that could be really challenging. I started with 3-minute body scan meditations, and that was really helpful. And now I can meditate and I pray and I do all sorts of ways of taking care of myself spiritually. So if you don't know what's going to work for you, maybe do some research, try a few things. I know, like, I discovered the art of candle making. That seriously helped me in multiple areas of balance. And I can't do that right now, but I'm looking forward to getting back to it because it offers me all of the things that I need in one act. And if we can find a way to balance this self-care in these areas of physical, intellectual, emotional, and spiritual selves, then we will start to grow and heal in other areas of our lives because we're opening that up for ourselves. And so just discover what that looks like for you. Do a little research. See if running is your thing. If it's not, move on to trying something else. And you can ask other people too. And I mean, that is going to be a part of this process, is building your community with people. And so just offer yourself a lot of grace, but keep showing up. Keep putting in the work. That really has a way of helping us see that it's working. But we have to at least give ourselves time. So balancing the pies is a huge part of self-care. As you can see here, like I said, I do makeup. This makes me feel good. It's something that, I mean, I'm not even going to leave the house today, but it makes me just feel better knowing I did a lot of research about makeup and wanted to be able to find ways to really take care of myself when I felt like I wasn't able to take care of myself. And it took me a little time to get used to not being able to have some of my regular habits and regular activities that I used to do, but now I am a lot more fulfilled, and I continue to grow in my recovery, and that to me is super important. And you know, maybe I can't do my makeup every day, but I continue to try and meet my needs. I carve out space to really figure out what it is, how I'm feeling. And there are a lot of different tools and support that are available to us to be able to do that. So like, I didn't even know how to process. I just knew, I mean, like sometimes I was just angry over everything and I didn't even know why. I didn't know how to process those feelings. And I had to discover that anger is a lot more than just anger. Sometimes it is insecurities. Sometimes it's just our needs not being met, being jealous, being provoked, or just things like that. And so I use the feelings wheel. Sorry, that's what I'm staring up at, because we have our core feelings, and sometimes we're in the midst of things we can't actually really identify what it is that's bothering us in the most authentic way. And so when we self-care and give ourselves space, then we actually are opening it up to discover what's driving our behaviors. And when we can do that, we can find ways to overcome and get better. And, you know, you may just be starting your journey of recovery, or maybe you are a little bit into it and just need a little refresher, or maybe you're just somebody who doesn't even know where to begin. Sometimes some of these tools, like that feelings wheel, can be a really great place to start, so that you can start figuring out who you are as your authentic self. And it might take some time, but it'll be totally worth it in the end if you can stick with this journey and continue the self-discovery. Find people who can be in this journey with you and grow from there, because there is hope for recovery. And recovery, like I said, does not look the same for everybody, but there are people out there who want to be in that journey with you and who have lived experience that they can share through their experience, strength, and hope, and maybe something might help you. Something I've learned is to take what I like and leave the rest, and that has been a big part of my journey. Maybe not everything will work for me that might work for another person, but there might be something that can help me at least step in the right direction, and that's really what's important. So self-care, taking care of ourselves, is the best care that we can give ourselves while we work through something like this. And please come back. I encourage you to comment if you want me to cover a particular topic. I do have tons of different content ideas, and I will be back probably in the next couple of weeks to move on to the next step, whatever that's going to look like. But just know this is a lifelong journey. This is not something that happens overnight, but you're not alone in this. And there are people who love you in a very special way, and it might not feel like it, but there are spaces out there where you're going to feel loved and cared for, and there's not going to be any judgment or shame, and instead you're going to be embraced because you are enough, you're worthy, and you are so deserving of a life of recovery. Please come back. Look forward to seeing you next time.